Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today is going to be a vinyl update video. I've just got a couple of records to show, some of which I purchased at a record fair I went to just last week, and then also a couple of new reissues, and then two brand new albums that have just come out in like the last few weeks as well, that I'll show towards the end, one of which I will do a live unboxing of. Now a couple of CDs here. First one is The Who Hits 50. Just thought I'd get this one here, just to get like a couple more of like the Who songs like on CD. Like I'm not that interested in like buying like whole albums of theirs like on CD, but like on here though we do get like a lot of like stray singles. And like there's some like pictures of Lily joined together relay, a lot of top class Who stuff like on here. And like the only like other Who CD I had was Then and Now, which is kind of like a much more like inferior like compilation to this one here. But I've also got Who's Next and Quadrophenia, might get Tommy as well, but certainly just like the rest of like their catalogue, I think like this is like all that you really need. Then I also got at the same time as that a Elvis Costello compilation. This one is called The First 10 Years. Be getting like into him like a little bit, and like I knew about I think 3 songs like when I bought this album. And like I listened to it, I've listened to it like all like the way through like a couple of times now. And like I'd say like the earliest stuff like on here, like the first like 10 songs, because this is in like chronological order. First 10 songs I really love, but then it gets a little bit more like hit and miss, but there are still some great songs in here. Of course, like my favourites like Pump It Up, Radio, Oliver's Army, Every Day I Write the Book, love that one. Man Out of Time I quite liked as well. But like yeah, like towards the end of like the album, there's track listed. It did get a little bit more like hit and miss. So I'll certainly try and get some more like of his like of his earlier albums like on vinyl. Like I will be showing one later in this video. But now on to the record fair finds. I went to a record fair in Manchester because I was down there last weekend. So like I don't like often go to this fair. And like when I first went in, like I was a little bit like disappointed with it. Like I bought 2 things, but then like I was sort of like wandering around for 20 minutes, nothing really catching my eye. But then like I went to like one seller and like I saw one album what like I really wanted from him. Then I just started like going through like the rest of them, and like I ended up with like 10 albums from like this other guy what like I wanted to buy. So I had to like restrain myself a bit. Like I think I got it down to about I think I bought about 5 from him, and 3 from like this other guy. So like I'll just do them in like a random order here, or sort of like least interesting, sort of like most interesting for me. First one is just a 12-inch single. It's a Paul McCartney one. This is the single to Press. Yeah, I didn't really need this, but it was quite cheap. And on here we get the songs Press, It's Not True, not a cover of the Who song, it's Paul McCartney like original, of course you knew that, Hang Glide, which I haven't heard, and a dub mix of Press, which will probably be awful, but it is nice to have it anyway. So yeah, just a sort of another Paul McCartney 12-inch single to add to my collection. Next one is the first album by The Police. It is Alandos de Amos. This was quite cheap. So I just thought like why not get it. I'm now complete I can now complete like on The Police. They only made 5 albums, so this is some great songs. I mean, So Lonely's on here, Roxanne, Can't Stand Losing You. Haven't actually heard like the rest of this album, but like I'll hopefully give it a listen at some point like this weekend. So here we are just on standard like A&M Records label. So nothing too special in this one here, but like just like a pretty solid debut from The Police. Right, now an album by an artist what likes of like James Lobban will like really like, and Rockboy 660 as well. I would think it's Peter Gabriel's album. So like this was like James Lobban like sort of like asked me, well not asked me, but like he sort of like recommended this album to me. And like I did listen to it, and like I quite enjoyed it for the most part. I mean, like the only song I knew that going into this was Sledgehammer, which by the way has like a fantastic music video. Definitely go and check that out. But I'm sure that like you all know it because it's a very famous video. That's great, and I think I liked That Voice Again, and was it In Your Eyes or Mercy Street? There's a couple on here like I really like enjoyed, but then there were a few that I wasn't like too keen on. Kind of similar in like some ways to Paul Simon's Graceland, and like in like 1986 there was a bit of like a Grammy battle going on between these 2 albums. Graceland would like eventually win it, but like but like this does like incorporate like some like elements of like world music like into it like as well. But certainly like, I think Graceland is still for me anyway a better album. But this was still pretty good though, and like I might try and get some more like of his albums, maybe like his debut. Like I've heard that one is like a good starting place. So yeah, Peter Gabriel. So also didn't show like the inner sleeve for this one here. It's quite a plain like sleeve though, just like the lyrics. I'm on a sort of custom label there, so this is a original British copy, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like I wouldn't imagine it being like anything else though. Next one is a greatest hits compilation by the Byrds here. Really like the Byrds actually. They're very sort of like influential band on like sort of like the like Tom Petty like and the Heartbreakers, that sort of Rickenbacker sound. And like also like George Harrison like as well, and like stuff like Hard Day's Dead, like if it needs someone, very much does sound like the Byrds. And like they have had like a lot of like great singles on here. There's a track listed. This is very much just like the best stuff from like the 60s. As far as like this copy is concerned, I believe this is a original. There's the inner sleeve as it says on it at the top. And this is I think it's an original from '67, but I could be completely wrong. This is when this album came out. It's just the Byrds' greatest hits. Really lovely condition as well. And like it wasn't too expensive. This, I mean, I paid about £5 for all these ones here. So maybe like a little bit more than like I would have liked, but certainly like if like you factor in like the vinyls are in lovely condition. So I think that like these did like represent like good value. So yeah, Byrds' greatest hits. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier about like the second store that like I went to, the first album I saw there was like the one that like I was sort of like wanting to get, and like it was this one here, which is actually, you might not believe this, but it's my first album by this artist. It is called The Story of the Stones, and this is just the greatest hits compilation on the Stones. I believe this is a 80s issue, so it's very cheap. This was about £5, so I thought of like a double album, Stone's best stuff from like the 60s. I think it's only the 60s like on here. Yeah, stuff like Brown Sugar's not on here, so it is mostly just like the 60s stuff. I thought again that this was like a pretty good starting place for them, because I don't have like any of like the other studio albums. Like I would quite like to get some of them, stuff like Sticky Fingers and that, and like Let It Bleed. I've heard those are great albums, but I just thought Greatest Hits would be a good starting place for the Stones. So yeah, we are there. It's just there. This is also like in pretty nice shape as well, and like again, this was very cheap as well, and like a double album too. So yeah, I thought this would be a good one to add to the collection. Now one that James Lack, Robo 680 will like. I've got it is Eric Clapton's Slow Hand, and I love this album actually. Like I heard it, I've listened to it like recently, and like I really enjoyed it. The first 3 songs I knew like anyway from like the greatest hits, so Cocaine, Wonderful Tonight, and Lay Down Sally. Loved all those songs, and like also like on like the second side of that, there's some pretty good songs in here. So yeah, like so like really enjoyed this one. I don't think this is an original. I believe this is an 80s issue. I believe like the originals like gatefolds, and like you sort of like be able to fold it out and get like the both sides there, whereas this is like a slightly disappointing non-gatefold copy. Also doesn't come with like an inner sleeve. This one here, just a plain sleeve, and the records we are on RSO Records there. Now the Elvis Costello album, what I mentioned earlier, I got a copy of Armed Forces at the record fair. Fantastic album. Listened to this pretty much like as soon as I got it, because I was quite eager to hear it, and like I really loved it. First 3 songs especially, what they again, it's Accidents Will Happen, CD Service, and Oliver's Army. They're all fantastic songs. And then like side 2 wasn't as good. It kind of like those first 3 songs like so amazing, and then like the rest like didn't like stand out like as much, but certainly like it was still a fantastic listen though, and like an album what I'm hopefully gonna get to know like a little bit more. Really love like the design to this one here, but it kind of for me it doesn't really fit like with like the cover though. The cover's really sort of big and striking, looks like a prog rock album, whereas on it it's sort of like your typical like new wave colourful stuff. So yeah, but like anyway, apart from like the packaging, this was a fantastic album. What I would certainly recommend to like a lot of people is like, so there's a cover off it there. There's the back again. Like I believe this is a original British pressing. So now the last one from the record fair is a Fleetwood Mac album. I got Tusk here. Slightly more controversial album for like a lot of like fans. It's like sort of like a love-hate relationship what many people like have with this album here. I listened to this like the day I got it like all the way through. And I was kind of like on that defence of it. It's certainly not like well, it's certainly not like another Rumours, but that was certainly like the way like the band like intended it to be. Like they wanted it to be slightly more like experimental album. And like I didn't think that it was that like overproduced, to be honest with you. Like a lot of people like do criticise it for like being like really overproduced, but for me, like I thought that some of the songs could be described as like underproduced and slightly more stripped back arrangements to what we got on like the Rumours album. But like anyway, I'll just show the packaging. This isn't a gatefold, it's just got the 2 vinyl here. There they are there, and like cursing enough listener, you have like the outer like inner sleeve of each of them, and then you get another inner sleeve on the inside here. And then the records are just on this sort of standard Warner Brothers label there. So I did like this album. As far as highlights on it go, if I just get the track listing back again, I thought Sarah's a great song. What Makes You Think You're the One? I quite like that one. And Tusk, like I'm quite a big fan, like off like the title song as well. I think About Me, Back to Side One Again, like I quite like that one. That was a Christine McVie song, could be wrong there, but like I quite like that one as well. So yeah, there's a lot of like good stuff on this album. I think yeah, this is the other record here. There it is, and there's some more artwork, and the other inner sleeve in here says a picture of the group and another picture of the band on the other side. So now I've got 2 reissues of albums what like originally released in like the 60s. Both of them, like the original copies, are like very hard to come by. First one is a Small Faces album called From the Beginning. I believe this was released in '67 originally as like a compilation from like the previous record label Decca of like the more like earlier stuff, so like pre-67 stuff on here. And like this is like a pretty good compilation. We do get songs like My Mind's Eye, which is great. All or Nothing's on here, Sha-La-La-La Lee, What You Gonna Do About It, and like they also cover Del Shannon's Runaway, and You Really Got a Hold of Me as well, like Smokey Robinson songs. Yeah, there's a lot of like good songs on here, although it wasn't actually like a proper like studio album by then. I thought that Decca done a great job like putting together this album. It's sort of like the best of like their earlier material. And I know they released an actual album, I believe just called The Small Faces, but like I don't think that had like any hit songs on it, and like I haven't heard it, so I can't really judge like the music on like on like that album what they actually put out like on Decca. But like this one here like was fantastic, has like some great songs. It also comes with a wee download card as well, which I haven't even used yet. I might use it though, so I won't bother showing it like in this video. So yeah, good album here. And the other 60s reissue is of the Kinks' 3rd album. It's called The Kink Controversy. And yeah, this is a fantastic album, really, when Ray Davies' songwriting was coming like into like its element, and like he was writing some fantastic songs. I believe he writes all the songs like on this album. Like I could be wrong, there might be like 1 or 2 covers like snuck in like on this album, but certainly the songs that he does write on here, Till the End of the Day is like probably like the most popular one. Where Have All the Good Times Gone is also quite popular as well, but like it's like there's some great album cuts on here as well, and like they sort of like expanded like their sound a little bit. This one here is also on a lovely red vinyl as well, just like my copy of Face to Face by the Kinks. I think like all like the reissues, like the earlier stuff were put on red vinyl, or like maybe like on like different colours, not too sure, but it's good to get this one here. Still need the first 2 albums though, though like I'm not in like any great hurry to get those, because those are a bit more like inconsistent to this one and like Face to Face. But yeah, certainly this is like a fantastic album like when I listen to it. So now on to the 2 brand new releases from like this week. First one here is a album from, it's basically Tom Petty's new album, but it is under the name of Mudcrutch. Now Mudcrutch were like the band that he had before the Heartbreakers became big, and like they split up sort of like 75 I think, and like then like they formed like the Heartbreakers, taking like a couple of members from Mudcrutch. I believe it was Ben Montench and Mike Campbell later joined Tom again like for the Heartbreakers. But like Mudcrutch though, like he revived them in 2008, 2007 I think, after making like the Running Down the Demon documentary, what I think brought back like a lot of good memories of like those times for like them. So like he got back together with like the 2 like original people like he was with Tom Leedon and Randall Marsh, who like of course like faded like into like obscurity like after like their short time with like Mudcrutch. And this is like a really fantastic album. This is the second album, like, of course, and like I haven't heard like the first one yet, so I can't really compare it too much to that one. But like what I've heard of this one is this bit more like Traveller Wilbury sounding, where there's like the first one, like from what I've heard like people saying, is like a bit more bluesy, bit more country, not so much like the traditional Tom Petty sound. And like this album like is also slightly different as well, because it features singing from all the band members. So we get the likes of Ben Montench and Mike Campbell singing for like the first time. This is like the first time I've heard them singing. And like I was a little bit skeptical like going into it with like we're like reading like the track listing, and like Tom Petty like only singing about 6 of like 12 songs in it, or I think it's maybe a bit more. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so Tom Petty like sings 7 out of the 11 tracks in it. So like all like the band members were like having like their own songs in it. So like I was a little bit skeptical at first, but the other songs that the band members sing are like among my favourite songs on this album actually. So yeah, I really like enjoyed it for the most part. You get a little insert thingy here, which is quite nice, and and of course the vinyl in here. Playing in a sleeve though, but we are on Reprise Records for this, just on the standard black vinyl. So now on to the live unboxing of like an album what just came out today. Like I've like had it pre-ordered like for like a good couple of months. I'm sure that you can all probably guess like what it is, considering that I am a massive fan of this artist. So the package, so the vinyl is in here. We're just gonna tear it open along the side bit there, and here it is. It is Paul Simon's new album, Stranger to Stranger. Here it is here. Really, I've not heard this yet, so I can't comment. Like, only came out today, but let's just get it open and let's have like a look at this this vinyl here. So I'll keep the shrink on it. It doesn't look like it's a gatefold, but so that means that I can like keep like the shrink on it. Like I only tend to take the shrink wrap off when the album is like a gatefold and like there's a bit of like extra artwork to see, but this one isn't. So we'll just put open down the side there. So what do we get in here then? So here we have the inner sleeve here, which just looks like lyrics, and there's the other side there, track listing, who plays on like all the songs, and like the picture what was taken for like the album cover of Paul Simon's portrait. Believe like actually I read like on like the internet that this portrait here was done by like a man who like I think has like no hands or like something like that, like can't use his hands. So it's quite an impressive piece of artwork. Like considering that, like I'm not too sure like how true that is though, but like that's what I read anyway. And I'll just show here we have some linear notes on here, which is quite nice to get here, just like another wee insert here. And the vinyl itself is again just a standard black vinyl, but quite a nice label. That side's pretty plain, but this side there is the eye from like the cover, which is really nice. So not listen to this yet. This will be the first thing I do like when like I finish this video. Get this like on the turntable and like and I give it a listen. From what I've heard so far, this is supposed to be a great album. It's supposed to be quite like adventurous, and like he's covering like a lot like new ground with this one here. Right, yeah, so hopefully this will be like a fantastic listen. I just noticed now that it hasn't come with a download card, which I was hoping that it would do, so that like I wouldn't like need to buy like the CD. But now it looks like I'm probably gonna have to get like the CD like as well, because I would really like to get this like onto like my iPod and like really get to know this album like a lot more. So yeah, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. Also, just like a quick reminder as well, I have got my 300 subscribers Q&A still going on. I've decided that will close on the 10th of June. That should be next Friday, like after which I will make my response video to that where like I answer like all the questions. So that should be like next Friday, like I get like that done. So like yeah, you have still got time, like if like you want to go over to that video and like ask me like, a couple of questions for like my Q&A. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for that. Goodbye. Says wall to wall for